Hey guys, what's up? It's Eric with Advanced Level Auto. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. So we got called out to come take a look at a Dodge. I believe it's a Durango. I don't exactly remember, but basically what they're telling me is that they're having some trouble with it starting. I know they told me that they already replaced the PCM, throttle body, crank sensor, and some other stuff like that. Also, they're telling me that the engine does not accelerate, as in the accelerator pedal doesn't respond. So anyways, we're here. Let's go check it out. All right, guys, so this is the truck we're working on today. This is a Dodge Durango. Looks like it's a 2014, and it's got the 3.6 liter V6 engine. If we take a quick look under the hood, you can see looks like they replaced the ECM, so this is a brand new one, or it's actually remanufactured. You can see it's got the little sticker here on the side. But anyway, let's head inside and see if we can verify the concern. This door's a little tough to open. All right, so we're inside the truck. The key's over here in the center console, so let's go ahead and see if this thing starts. You guys hear that? We got a pretty extended crank there, but the engine did eventually start. Now, taking a closer look at the cluster, you can see we do have a check engine light right up here, and we also have this Thunderbolt. Now, a few seconds ago, there was a message that came up here. Let me see if I can show you guys. I may have to shut it off and turn it back on. See if that message comes back up. Again, you guys hear that extended crank. Let's take a look here and see if we get our message again. Well, there's one about the tire pressure system, but I'm not really worried about that. Okay, so we have service keyless system, and there's one more that comes up here right there, service electronic throttle control. We also have the service traction control light down here, but that's probably related to the rest of the stuff we got going on here. So first things first, let's hook up a scan tool and see what codes we got. All right, so today we're using my brand new Foxwell. This is the Nt1009. I've had this one for a couple months now. I've been using it kind of off and on. I'm actually pretty impressed with this thing. It's got a lot of features and functionalities. We can even diagnose electric vehicles. Right here, they have a new energy selection. In this menu, you're gonna find Tesla, as well as a bunch of other manufacturers that make EVs. That's a pretty cool option to have. And it's also pretty nice that this comes standard with the tool. On most tools, you have to pay extra for this option. Let me take you guys back to the home page. Okay, actually, guys, let me shut off the engine because it looks like it's starting to smoke out there. Let me take a quick look. All right, so it looks like the smoke is coming from this valve cover over here. You can see we got an oil leak, and that oil is leaking down onto the exhaust manifold. So that's where our smoke is coming from. All right, so moving back over to the scan tool, I got the ignition on. We're gonna go ahead and select diagnosis, and we're just gonna go ahead and do an auto VIN. We're gonna see if we can automatically detect the VIN number. Well, it's probably a good idea if I plug this in, right? Let's find the data link connector. Looks like it's right here. Got a green light flashing. Okay, so back over to the scan tool. Let's choose automatic read. There's our VIN number. This is a Dodge. And there we have it, 2014 Dodge Durango. And we're just gonna go ahead and select quick scan. So right now it's running a fault scan through all of the modules. We'll let this thing finish. All right, so as you can see, we've got fault codes in pretty much everything here. Now, starting up at the top, we got 5 fault codes in the PCM. Let's see what they are. All right, so we got some codes for the accelerator pedal position sensor, 1 and 2, maximum stop performance. Let's scroll down here. We also have a P0335 crankshaft position sensor circuit. Let's take a look at what we got in the TCM. So we have a code here for incompatible limp in action requested, implausible engine torque signal received, and torque request signal from the TCM denied. All right, so like I said, they did replace the ECM on this thing. Now, from what they're telling me, the ECM did come pre-programmed, but I'm pretty sure they didn't do the calibration for the accelerator pedal. So that's probably the first thing we need to do, because one of the main complaints that they have is that the accelerator pedal does not respond. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna start this thing up. Again, we have an extended crank. That may have something to do with that crank sensor code. And if we move this thing out of the way, take a look at the tachometer. Now with my foot, I'm just gonna rev up the engine and take a look at that tachometer. You can see it's not moving right now. I got the pedal to the floor, but our engine is not revving up at all. So you guys can see that I'm not lying here. This pedal does not respond at all. So I'm gonna shut the engine off and then turn the key back on. Let's move back over to the scan tool. And the first thing we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna go into the engine control module, and we're gonna scroll down until we find special function right down here. And let's see if we have one for the electronic throttle. We do. It's right here, learn electronic throttle control, ETC. Let's hit okay. It's learning the voltages for the TP. Now it says press and hold the accelerator pedal to the floor. So I'm just gonna take my foot and put this pedal all the way to the floor. While we're holding it, we're gonna hit okay. It's gonna do a little countdown, release the accelerator pedal. And just like that, our ETC learn is complete. Learning passed. Let's go ahead and start this thing up and see if our pedal is working. So I'm gonna cycle the key off, put my foot on the brake, and then start this thing back up. Again, we got a long extended crank here, but the engine did start. Now let's find out if it's gonna accelerate. I'm gonna put my foot on the pedal. And you guys can see the pedal is now responsive. I'm gonna rev that up just so you guys can see. We no longer have a dead pedal. Okay, so that solves one problem. We still have another problem to solve, the issue with the crank sensor. In fact, what we could do is we can come back to the scan tool and check it out. We only have one fault code in the PCM. Let's see what it is. All right, so after doing our ETC learn, the only code we have left is this P0335, crankshaft position sensor circuit. Let's select the powertrain control module and see if we can find some live data PIDs. We're gonna select live data, and we're gonna see if we can find anything related to the crank sensor. Okay, so right here we have a few data PIDs. We're gonna select them. Now we're gonna start the engine up. Again, we have a long crank, but our engine did start up. Take a look here. You can see that we do have a limp home mode fault, and we have a crank signal missing. Of course, because we have no crank signal, our crank sync state is out of sync. No, it's not out of sync because our timing is off. It's out of sync simply because we're missing our crank signal. So what's the next thing we need to do? We could try pulling up a wiring diagram, maybe do some pinpoint testing, or we could also just do a quick visual inspection. Now, the reason I bring that up is because the kid that actually owns this car is the one that did most of the work on it, and they're telling me that he actually replaced the crank sensor on this thing, along with a bunch of other stuff, including the throttle body, the accelerator pedal, and the engine computer. But there's a reason I question the quality of the workmanship. Let me take you guys under the hood real quick. Again, like we mentioned, the throttle body was replaced, but if you take a look here, you can see we got some bolts missing. So it doesn't really give me a whole lot of confidence that this was done correctly. Now, I don't know exactly where the crank sensor is on this car. I may have to do a little bit of research to figure out where it's located. Hopefully it's somewhere where we can actually get to it. I don't know if it's on the front of the engine or on the back side. I'm looking up here in front and I don't see it. It might actually be toward the back. Let's check the service info. Let's hop inside the truck. Head over to the computer. Let's go ahead and select our vehicle. This is a 2014 Durango. It's got a 3.6 liter engine, and it's gonna come up here to the top, and we're gonna type in crankshaft position sensor. Let's scroll down here. All right, service and repair, removal of the crankshaft position sensor. It's given us some instructions to remove the crankshaft sensor. It says we have to raise and support the vehicle. If I'm not mistaken, I think this thing's bolted to the side of the block. Kind of hard to tell here. Yeah, so this sensor, in order to access it, we're gonna have to go underneath the truck, which means I'm gonna have to have them raise it up. So let's get to it. All right, so we're gonna pull this thing forward so that they can jack it up. All right, so we're jacked up over here and we got our jack stand. Let's go underneath and take a look down here. It's like we got a pretty massive oil leak and it's all going down the exhaust. You see we got oil stain everywhere. Now our crankshaft position sensor is located right up here. It's kind of hard to see, but I'll see if I can get a visual. Let's turn on our light. So if we take a look at that, that's gonna be our wiring harness going toward our crank sensor. And that's our crank sensor right there. You see it's got a little cover on it. This thing is completely covered in oil. So I'm just gonna take a long screwdriver and we're gonna pry this piece off right here. Just pry it back, move it out of the way. I wanna get to the connector. Well, that's easier said than done. All right guys, so I'm trying to get to the connector so I can back probe it, but looks like this little heat shield right here is not gonna let me do that. I may just end up having to unplug it. All right guys, so fast forward. I just ended up disconnecting it so I can remove that stupid cover that was on here. But if you guys take a look at this connector for the crankshaft position sensor, this thing is covered in oil. And if we take a look at the sensor, looks like we might have oil in the new sensor as well. Guys, take a look at this. They just showed me the original sensor that came out of the truck. If you guys recall, I told you that they replaced the crank sensor, and this is what they removed from the truck. You guys ever see anything like that? This thing is completely melted. I'm not even sure what could cause something like this. That makes me worried that the same thing might be happening with the new sensor. Let's go ahead and do some quick circuit testing. I got the power scan connected to the battery. I don't know how well I'm gonna be able to film this, but I'm just gonna go ahead and use the power scan to test for our 5-volt ref, our ground, and our signal wire right here at the connector. And damn it, I forgot to turn the key on. Let me go do that real quick. All right, so I'm back. The key is on. So I got the connector right here. We're just gonna start by touching each of the pins. So we'll start with this one here. Okay, I got nothing there. Now I'm not sure if it's because I'm not getting deep enough in there or because I don't have reading. Oh, there we go. You guys can see that's a ground. Well, it's a ground, but when I move this harness with my finger, you can see we got a 5-volt, so I think that's where our problem is. Looks like maybe our 5-volt ref is touching a ground. Let me try that again. You guys see that? We got 4.9 volts on this pin right here. And actually, even better, on the side of the connector here, our pin is exposed, so we can just touch it right here from the side. You guys see that? We got a ground. And when I move this harness, right there, you guys see that? 4.9 volts. I'm gonna let off. Yeah, so when I move the harness right here close to the connector, our 5 volts is getting shorted. So likely what's happening here is that our wires are touching each other. So let me go ahead and open up this wire loom. I see where our problem is. Take a look. Let me zoom in a little bit there. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see this wiring harness. I'm gonna peel back this wire loom and take a look at the wires underneath. Hey, look at that. Look at that. You guys see that? We got exposed wires and they're touching each other. All right, there we go. So you can see the insulation has completely worn off of this section of the wiring. And if we just kind of take these wires and separate them, keep them from touching each other. It's kind of hard to do because these wires are actually twisted together. Yeah, right there you guys can see I got those wires spread apart now. Really the fix for this is we're gonna need to cut these wires here, and we're gonna have to either replace this pigtail or see if maybe we can just use some wire to kind of extend it from here to there and just cutting this whole section out altogether. That might be our only option right now. Let me see what I can do. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and cut these off. 1, 2, 3. All right, so we got our pigtail cut off. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this rest of the section of the wiring. Okay, so there's our burned up wiring right there. We'll toss these out. All right guys, so I made a little extension on our pigtail. We're gonna go ahead and wire this up. All right guys, so fast forward. I'm sorry I couldn't show you the wiring repair. There's no way I could get both of my arms in here and have the camera at the same time. So I just wanted to show you guys, we got the harness repaired. So I went ahead and extended the wiring here. Everything's sealed up, heat shrink wrapped and everything. We are gonna get some protective wire loom to put over this, but for now I'm gonna put back that protective cover. We're gonna plug this back in and we're gonna see if it works. All right guys, so we're back inside the vehicle after doing our wiring repair on the crank sensor. Let's go ahead and try to start this thing up. Bam, this thing fired right up. Let's listen to that again. I'm gonna shut it off, put my foot on the brake, crank this thing. It starts right up. Let's go back and take a look at our data. I believe we still have our data PID selected for the crank sensor. Let's hit OK. And there we have it, guys. Our crank state is in sync. Our crank signal is no longer missing, and we're not in limp home mode. We can now back out and let's clear these fault codes. So I'm gonna turn the key off, but turn the ignition back on, and we're just gonna hit erase. This is going to erase all of the fault codes. All right, so we just finished clearing our codes, and as you can see, we no longer have any codes in the PCM or the TCM. That's definitely a fix. Well guys, there you have it, another fix for the books. Now, if you are interested in checking out the Foxwell Nt1009 scan tool, I will leave a link in the description down below. Make sure you check it out. It's a pretty good scan tool, especially for the price. You get full access to read all of the modules on the vehicle. You've got bi-directional controls, special functions, including things like ABS brake bleeding, cam and crank relearns, TPMS relearning, and even a little bit of key programming. Like I mentioned before, it even comes with the ability to diagnose electric vehicles. That's a big plus, especially because you don't have to pay extra for that function. Did I mention that it even does some ECU coding on cars like Volkswagen, Audi, Mercedes, and BMW? So it's got a pretty wide range of functions. Also, I almost forgot to mention, it also has a topology feature. Now, I did notice that the topology isn't for all cars. Most of the cars that I work on, the topology feature is there, but I have run into a few of them where it's not. But that's definitely something that Foxwell is actively working on. The other nice feature is that it comes with 3 years of free updates. Most other tools only give you 1 or 2. Anyways, like I always say, thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you found it useful, informational, educational, entertaining. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.